And then I met my dear friend Zelda Souple, knew everybody in parapsychology and things like that. And through her, I started meeting all these kooks, you know. She was a past life regressor also, and people were coming to her for past life regressions and finding out they were all Cleopatra. Lots of Cleopatras walked out of Zelda's apartment. And then Zelda gave parties every once in a while. Everybody tanked up on really cheap wine. And I met Cleve Baxter at one of these parties. And this is the plant guy. You've heard of him? Yeah. So he had he had a lie detecting school in New York, which he trained lie detecting experts for the CIA and the FBI and things like that. And you know, the lie detector is a galvanic skin response system. And one day he got very tired of this, so one day he hooked his Dracaena plant up to a lie detecting equipment just to see what was happening. So the Dracaena was pushing waves up like this on the chart recorder and everything. And then Cleve went over and broke a leaf off. And the thing went just like this, which means the plant was responding to this damage and injury. And he became very famous for that. And so at one of Zelda's parties, I said, I'd like to see that plant do that. So he'd come up to the lab. And he had his lab off Broadway on about 47th Street and things like that. He was a junk food king, too. All he ate was junk food, and there was lots of junk food in that area of Manhattan. And so I got to his lab, and he showed me around, and then he showed me the Dracaena plant. Here's a photograph of it, right here. And I said, oh, well, who's going to influence it? And he said, you are. I said, I don't know how to do that. He says, you don't have to know how to do it. Just sit there, and when I tell you to do something, just imagine that you're going to strike a match and burn its leaf. So he got it all going, and then he said, do it, and I did it, and the plant went like this. So I says, well, and he said, well, do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Imagine you're doing something harmful and everything. And then after a while, the plant calmed down and wouldn't react anymore. And I said, well, what does that mean? And he says, it means the plant has understood that you're just faking it, and you're not going to do it, and there's no need to get excited about it. So then Cleve, having hooked up plants and everything, decided to hook up everything. He took scrapings out of the urine bowls in the men's room of this big building and hooked them up, and they did this and they did that, and then he took all kinds of things, skin samples, skin scrapings, and hooked them up, and they did everything like that. And he told me that, boy, sperm lasts a long time in an active life state. Well, I hope this doesn't embarrass you, but this is science, after all. And then he took blood from a guy, shot it into a vial, hooked the blood up to the machines with 2 electrodes in it, and then he poked the donor with a pin, and the blood did this thing here. And in fact, that effect could be done 5 blocks away, wherever the guy went. When you can stick somebody over here, their blood is over here responding to it, what does that suggest to you? The whole universe must be somehow interconnected, which is what certain sages in the past have said all along, right? Well, mystics, have you ever had a mystical high? And one of the key factors that comes out of that is you realize that everything, this is one, whatever, and everything like that. But 20 years ago, scientists hated Cleve Baxter like mad. And he got all sorts of bad press and everything. But, you know, it just seems like it fell off of Cleve Baxter like water off of a duck. And in the late 70s, you know, scientists said plants don't have nervous systems, so they cannot respond to these kind of things because this is a nervous system response, right? And then in about 1977 or 78, that terrible magazine, Scientific American, published an article about some guys and a gal that had found out that plants have rudimentary nervous systems. And this was specific to tomato plants. And when a tomato plant feels a caterpillar coming up its stem, it sends an electro-coded signal to all the cells in its body to produce a poison that is toxic to this little guy climbing up and ready to chomp away. Did you know that? Cleve Baxter should have been pulled up out of his obscurity and made much of, but nobody's picked up on that yet. Can you believe that? It's now 20 years since. Yeah. Everything has a nervous system that's animate anyway. So there's stuff going on everywhere, you know, and you're just not sitting here as an inanimate physical blob. Are you? I hope not. That's what I want to retire to. I want to become an inanimate physical blob.